Well, look, there's weak hands in stocks, and then there's what we just showed on the chart, which is almost like tiny little baby hands. You know, I think the average age of the Bitcoin trader on the Coinbase app, from what I hear anecdotally, is closer to 13 than it is to 45. So let's not even compare this to stocks for a second. What bothers me is that we're staring at the greatest bull market in the last 20 years, where you can double your money in like one of the world's best industrial companies, like a Boeing, which you're sort of pillorying here for no good reason, up over 200% in 2 years. And we're talking about this thing here that's lost 50% of its value in a month. So if you have a choice, pile A is stocks, which are like awesome, and pile B is sort of a pile. So I like pile A. There's a lot to like about stocks.
I watched Amazon go from 1 to 1,000 and back to 1 before it went to 1,000 again. And guys, we're good. We got the chartist here. He's got his stick, and it's fantastic, pal. Well, it is what it is. Don't come on here and tell me you don't know what I've done. You don't know what my call is. Okay, so go piss off. Seriously.
Well, there you go. CNBC and cracking bit of analysis there, where you actually, over 2 different time horizons, do you draw that conclusion? Let's just take a quick look at Bitcoin over the last 2 years. If we're going to compare it on Boeing, which did 200%. Yeah. Look, interesting. Right, without any further ado, let's get into this week's main events in crypto. There's been a really exciting week. We've seen a lot of volatility in prices. We saw the first wave of futures expiring, the CBOE futures. When these futures were first launched, Bitcoin price was around $17,000. Today, at the point where the futures expired, the price was sub $10,000. The futures were priced at $10,900, so the bears won. That's interesting. There's clearly a lot of manipulation here. When you introduce financial instruments such as futures, you're going to attract a more institutional pool of capital, a more professional pool of capital, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing hedge funds and other institutional investors come into the sector and manipulate it. You see the first lot of CME futures, which are due to expire on the 26th of January, and it'd be really interesting to see how the Bitcoin price moves leading up to that. But ultimately, with the downward pressure on the Bitcoin price, we've seen a lot of downward pressure on all the altcoins as well, which move pretty much in correlation to that. It was a very interesting week with developments in South Korea as well. We saw some clarification on the concerns and issues that were raised at the end of last week, with the government coming out and saying there would be no ban on exchanges, but that anonymous accounts would be subject to fines. Leading up to this, over 250,000 South Koreans signed a petition directed at the government to not take strict regulation against cryptos. They required 200,000 signatures, so this was exceeded, and it'll be something that will be addressed by government in the next 30 days. From South Korea as well, we also saw certain members from the FSS, the Financial Supervisory Service within South Korea, who were aware of forthcoming announcements and traded both buying and selling cryptos in advance of those announcements before that information was made public. Now this is very interesting. There is no code of conduct, there's no code of ethics in place as there are in stock markets. And well, that's a really interesting precedent and benchmark for similar cases going forward. We also saw a 23-year-old multi-millionaire crypto trader from St. Petersburg, Russia, Pavel Nyashin, had his home raided by thieves. They made off with $425,000 worth of cash, equipment and essential documents. They also destroyed a lot of equipment within his house and stole a laptop that he used purely for crypto trading. That's interesting. He made no effort at hiding his wealth that he'd made from cryptocurrency, so clearly made himself a target. But it goes without saying, if you've been incredibly successful, don't flaunt it, otherwise you're probably asking for trouble. Staying in Russia, we saw businessman Alexei Kolesnik, who bought 2 power plants for $3 million, and his intention is to turn these into crypto mining facilities. Now this is very interesting timing. Reports in Russia are suggesting that the finance minister has officially drafted a bill that will legalise the trading of cryptocurrencies on regulated exchanges. I think this is a trend we'll see continue. We may see other businessmen do similar things. Russia's taking a very proactive approach, and that's highlighted by Putin's suggestion of a multinational cryptocurrency. And following on from the KFC crypto bucket we had last week, we have more mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies. A nightclub in Coventry in the United Kingdom is going to accept Bitcoin for entry, drinks and private hire events. They expect it to be fully operational by mid-February, at which point it will be fully integrated with their EPOS system. Now I can honestly say I've never been to these 2 establishments, but they're definitely on my radar now. It's great to see things like this, it's great to see more mass scale adoption. Mark Cuban, the billionaire investor, crypto advocate, and owner of the basketball team Dallas Mavericks, has suggested that next season Bitcoin will be able to be used as a form of payment for tickets. He also suggested that perhaps other cryptos would also be used. In this first month already we've seen some really exciting adoption of Bitcoin, and I'm sure this is a trend that's going to continue throughout the year, so watch this space. Now, of course, we saw the news that probably a lot of people aren't surprised to hear. Bitconnect finally went down. Now, a lot of people were arguing that it was a Ponzi, it was a scam, and whilst not invested myself, I do feel very sorry for people who lost a lot of money in it. It did have a number of telltale signs of being a Ponzi, of being a scam, but it had a lot of support from a number of YouTubers and who convinced a lot of people to invest money that they probably couldn't afford to lose. But I think from a situation like this, you've got to take an important lesson from it. You know, do your research, do your own research. Just because someone online says you should invest in something, you take that suggestion as a suggestion. Look into it, do your own research, and try and challenge what they've said. Try and pick flaws in their argument rather than blindly investing. So sorry for everyone who lost money. Don't fall for the scams that those same YouTubers are suggesting signing up to new lending platforms. They're paid by the companies, they have massive referral platforms. Do your own research. Don't invest money you're not prepared to lose. Now, I mean, surely this is going to mean the Bitconnect X ICO is dead. I mean, please don't put your money into this platform given what they've just done. Rather than returning the bitcoins that people have invested in the platform, they return their own token, which unsurprisingly has plummeted in value. And it's really sad seeing how much some people have lost and how people really got tricked into this. But remember, if it sounds like it's too good to be true, it probably is. Ledger, the hardware wallet manufacturer, raised 75 million of a Series B fundraising. This follows a 7 million that they raised in March 2017. And hopefully this capital will enable them to speed up production, because there's a massive waitlist already. I think orders are leading up to March for their Ledger Nano S, a very popular hardware wallet. But great to see more investment in ancillary services to cryptocurrencies as well. And CNBC, we started with it, but let's have a little further look at it. It could become a weekly feature given their coverage of the crypto space, which is hilarious. We had this gem.
You don't know what I've done. You don't know what my call is. Okay, so go piss off, seriously. Go piss off, seriously. Go piss off, seriously.
However, there is a valid point behind this. You should sensibly allocate your capital across asset classes, so stocks and shares, as well as cryptos, to diversify your risk. But it's a shame when you have someone on who's very positive about Bitcoin that they're not a little bit more eloquent in making a strong counter-argument. I know if I'd invested 1,000 in Boeing 2 years ago and 1,000 in Bitcoin 2 years ago, which one I'd be more happier with right now. So that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.